Okay, now that you've uncovered your identity, we're going to move on to the next thing, which is your story and your message. And again, your identity is the key that unlocks the story and message. And that's why it's so important to start there. To know who you are and what you want to be known for, and to know your purpose statement, which is what you're committed to. And now, the first thing I want to share with you about unlocking your story and your message is that I want to help you unlock a story and message that's simple, scalable, and that stands out. So, what do I mean by simple? My experience with most entrepreneurs is that they are trying way too hard, doing way too much in their story and their message. I really want to give you permission to go all in on a handful of pieces of messaging and story, and you don't have to talk about so much stuff to get a greater impact. You kind of say the same things to your patients over and over, but they are powerful and specific, and it's who you are, and that's intentional. The more simple my message is, the more profound it is. The more simple my message is, the more it stands out. And the more simple my message is, the more scalable it is. So, what do I mean by having a story or message that's scalable? A scalable story and message means it can be shared by more than just you. Oftentimes, we meet an entrepreneur that their message and story is really long or really complicated. No one else can retell it or reshare it, even if they wanted to. If our story isn't simple or if we have a hard time sharing it, how are they going to share it? So we have to have a message that's simple, which allows it to be scalable. And because it's simple and because it's scalable, it has a much higher probability of standing out. Again, one of the biggest risks or threats I see is that we blend in or we sound like everybody else. And one of the messaging statements that I want to help you create to really contribute to a message and a story that's simple, scalable, and stands out is what we call your big idea of impact. We believe that this is an idea that if you share it correctly in a bold, authentic way and with conviction, it can make a really big impact. And it starts with, "We believe you deserve," or "I believe you deserve." I wish I would have stumbled across this language much, much sooner. This idea of "you deserve," because I have found that most people, and just human nature, most people aren't going to tell you, they don't walk in, and just say, "Hey, I deserve this," or "I deserve that." It's going to come across a lot different if that happens that way. That's a whole nother thing. But if they hear you tell them what they deserve in a way that's useful to them, beneficial, and what they want, then they'll connect with that. They'll say, "Yeah, I do want that. Thank you." It helps them feel really seen and feel acknowledged and appreciated. Now, the big idea of impact is taking your identity statement or your purpose statement and reframing it. No reason to create an entirely new message if if we already have some really powerful statements that we can draw from. But it's going to be framed a little differently. And again, if you go back to the very first video, I demonstrated this. I said, "I believe as a mission-driven, purpose-focused, heart-centered entrepreneur, you deserve to create the kind of income and impact that you're capable of." This is the big idea of impact. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to overthink it. You can literally take your identity statement, what you're known for, and you could take your purpose statement, the "I'm committed," and you could create a version of both. People say, "Well, is it okay? You're basically saying the same thing two different ways." Yes, it's okay. In fact, it's intentional. Whenever you're sharing your story or your message with someone, you have to understand this is the first time that they're hearing it. So it feels like it's too much to you, but it's not to them. This is the first time that they've heard it, and they have a million other things going on in their world and in their minds. So my experience is that if you don't share the core of who you are and just do it in multiple times in the initial conversation, they won't remember who you are. They won't remember what's unique about you anyway. It's really simple. You're going to take your identity, the identity statement of what you are known for, and your purpose statement of what you are committed to, and create two versions of them that start with "I believe you deserve." So take a moment, and I'll see you in the next lesson.